Hey guys, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. My name's Alexander. I'm the CEO of Measurable Genius, which is like a marketing agency. And today I want to share a story about saving money and how I practiced the discipline in a completely erroneous way for 2 years of my life when I was running a business that wasn't doing too good. So let me set this up with the inspiration of this post being a result of a conversation that I started on my Facebook page where I was asking people how much money they save each month. Now, the reason that I asked this question was because I'm breaking down and trying to understand a certain type of persona, a certain type of prospect, a certain type of customer that's out there. We work with business owners and entrepreneurs in the coaching and the information product space, and I'm beginning to become very clear that a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, consultants, service providers tend to act day to day from a place of like overcommitment. They've got too much in their calendar. They've made too many promises. They're maybe not making enough money. They feel behind in life. They have too many projects going on. They're the bottleneck for too many things, whatever the cause might be. And I'm realizing more and more how important it is to me to focus on the basics in my own life and also to support my clients and to support business owners and entrepreneurs in applying principles which are going to empower them to achieve the goals that they have. And one of the principles that I think is really worthy of conversation is the act of saving money. So I was blessed back in 2011 to be introduced to my primary mentor in life, Dr. John Demartini. And one of the things that John has taught is this idea of forced accelerated savings. John believes that by saving money, putting money in a bank account, Warren Buffett has like $30 billion or something in money market accounts. It's like a checking account, basically. Just cash. By storing money in a bank account, saving a percentage of your earnings, that you create a result of having a very stable psychology. Basically, what John teaches is that people who do not have enough money to pay their bills, people who do not have enough money to tolerate risk, people who do not have enough money to cover their expenses for a period of time will act in a volatile fashion. Furthermore, he will say that anyone who gains or loses more than 10% of their money at any given time will experience a significant emotional reaction. And what I'd like to translate that into is act like a fucking idiot. When you gain or you lose too much money relative to how much money you have, you will act a fool. You will become emotional. You'll make mistakes. You will sell when the market's low. You'll buy when the market is high. You'll liquidate when you shouldn't. There's all this shit that just happens when you have volatility in your finances. Now, one way to solve that is to just make lots of money all the time. Just always be making money, always have lots of money coming in. That's one way to sort of solve the problem. The problem is that when you have lots of money coming in, but you don't have a lot of money in your bank account, every time you make a lot of money, it's a significant amount of money relative to how much you have. And so generally speaking, the only real way to solve this problem is to create like what I'd like you to imagine is like the keel of a boat. We want to like create a really solid keel in our psychology. The only way to do that is to literally store cash. If I put $100,000 in the bank, cash, I can open up my banking. I look at my online banking, $100,000. And then I go have a $10,000 sale. That $10,000 is 10% of what I've got in savings, and I'm not going beyond 10%, and I'm going to not necessarily be emotional. But if I have $100,000 in my bank account and I have a $30,000 day, my psychology is going to be like, baller, I just fucking killed it. I just added 30%. I just made 30% of what I had savings. Now, the problem just gets even worse if you have no money in the bank or 10,000 in the bank. Imagine having $10,000 in the bank and then earning 30K. You're going out and buying fucking champagne. caviar, taking your girlfriend on a date, doing whatever the shit you do. It's just the human mind is a funny thing. It's like, I earned this, I'm going to go spend it, and dumb shit happens. Same thing is with loss. If you only have $10,000 in the bank and you lose more than $1,000, you're going to be emotional about it. If you've got $100,000 in the bank and you lose $1,000, you're not going to be as emotional about it. You're not likely going to allow the gain or the loss of money to deviate you from your strategically high priorities, which is what John cares about the most. And that's what I think I care about the most, is how do I mitigate the risk of going off plan because of my emotions? And money is a foundational emotion. So now that I've laid that groundwork, I have a bit of a story I want to share with you guys, which is that I learned this thing from John, which was saving money is super smart. Saving money is going to make me a better decision maker. Saving money is going to mitigate my emotional reactions to my gains and my losses in life. I'm committed to this. I'm going to practice it. And John teaches this thing called the forced accelerated savings technology. And I'm just going to share my screen with you, and I'm just going to draw. Please don't mind my chicken scratch. It basically goes like this. You start saving $100 a month, and then every 3 months, you increase how much you're saving by 10%. So you would then save $110, and then you'd save $110 for 3 months. And then you would save $121, $121, $121. And what you'll find is that because of a mathematical principle, over 8 quarters or 2 years, you'll be saving $200 a month, aka you're doubling how much you save every 2 years. Okay? If you do that over enough, look at this advertising. If you do that over enough quarters, it's like year number 1, you're saving 100. Year number 3, you're saving 200. Year number 5, you're saving 400. Year number 7, you're saving 800 a month. Year number 9, you're saving 1,600 a month. Year 11, you're saving 3,200 a month. And the march goes on and on and on and on. And before you know it, you're saving what to some people might be an ungodly amount of money, $6,400 per month, $12,800 per month, etc. So I was like, okay, I buy in on this. I totally buy in on this. I'm going to do this. Now, here's the fucking problem. I was running a business that was making no money. I was losing money every month at the time. This was back in 2011, 2012. I hadn't figured out the problems people really had. I hadn't figured out how to make an offer. I hadn't figured out how to price an offer. I hadn't figured out how to find people who wanted my offer. I hadn't figured out how to do marketing. I hadn't figured out how to hire a team. I hadn't figured out how to do all the shit I really needed to know how to do to build a profitable business. And I had made a series of errors, and I had moved into office space and hired more people than I could afford. And I was consistently behind the ball. I was borrowing money to pay my bills. So on one side of the equation, I was accumulating debt, borrowing money to pay my bills. And on the other side of the equation, I was following this forced accelerated savings technology plan to save my money. And the funny thing is, I ended up saving, I don't know, $40,000 or $50,000 following this plan, but it was all borrowed money. It was borrowed money. I was borrowing money to save my money, which I knew the entire time I'm thinking, this is so fucking stupid that I'm doing this. Like, it just didn't feel genuine. It didn't feel like it made any sense. And in retrospect, it doesn't make any sense, because the key here is you can only really save money out of like revenue production. Like, you have to be producing a profit. And if you're not producing a profit, whether that's in your job, like if you work a job and your take home pay is more than your household expenses, you're producing a profit in life. If you're a business owner and your profit in your business covers your personal home expenses, you're making a profit in life, right? You're paying all your business expenses, and then you're paying for your personal expenses, and then you're able to save some money. And so you should absolutely save money, but it's impossible to save money unless you figure out how to produce a profit. You have to save money out of profit. Now, the interesting thing is there's like a third layer to this, and I'm just going to share this with you because I think it's important for people to know how these things work. Like, it's not fair for me to get on Facebook Live and be like, here's an idealism, just save your money. Just make sure you're saving money once you're producing a profit. And I'm going to use myself as an example, which is I had the discipline to do it. I saved my money. It was ridiculous. I ended up tanking that company. I started again. And now, luckily, and because of my perseverance and my discipline, Measurable Genius is profitable and cash flow positive, and I'm producing in my life. And now I'm able to save money again. But there was a catch. There's a third sort of nuance to this. So I'm going to just refresh my drawing board, and I'm going to share my screen again, and I'm going to put another picture on here, which is this. In a business, what's important is that you produce a profit. I like to call it a green bar, and that profit exceeds your expenses, which are the red bar. Okay, so red is expenses, green is profit. This right here is profit. Now, a profit and loss statement only accounts for profit and losses. There's another thing over here called a balance sheet. Okay, and a balance sheet is where you store all of your assets and your liabilities. Liabilities means debt. And the thing about debt is that debt requires servicing. You have to pay debt off your balance sheet because every loan, every credit card, every line of credit, every form of debt that you might have likely requires that you pay a certain amount off every single month. And because debt is an expense from the past, it does not show up on your profit and loss statements. So out of your profit, you have to pay for debt. And so what happened for me is I carried forward all my debt from those years where I was accumulating expenses. I didn't go bankrupt. I didn't go through all that shit. It didn't disappear. I was still on the hook for it. And for some of it, I still am. And so it wasn't enough for us in Measurable Genius to get to a point where I was producing a profit, because out of profit, I have to include debt, repayments. I have to include my personal lifestyle. I have to be able to feed myself and my family and pay my mortgage, and savings. All of that has to come out of this tiny little spot here, if the green bar is bigger than the red bar. And in my world, for some time after becoming profitable, my debt financing was probably more like this. Okay, so here's my expense and my profit. There's my profit, and my debt was more than my profit. And so savings still wasn't an option for me, because I was borrowing money or refinancing debt to shrink how much debt I had to pay while also trying to increase how much income I was earning to widen this gap. And it wasn't until, let me refresh this again. It wasn't until my red bar was smaller than, let's put the blue, let's do blue for debt, plus my debt, both of those. Let's put lifestyle in here too. Personal lifestyle. And then, and this is optional lifestyle. Don't think yachts and parties and champagne. Think mortgage and groceries, okay? As soon as my profit was like this, I immediately reactivated my forced accelerated savings plan and started saving my money. If you are in the personal development world and you're feeling like I should be saving my money, and you've heard a teacher teach you a binary, you should save your money, save a percentage of profit. I'm with them on that. And I just wanted to share with you that maybe your life, like my life, has some nuance to it. And you need to work with your own life. You need to work with your own details. And you need to work with what's right for you. And this type of detail matters. This type of detail matters. You shouldn't be putting yourself out in order to try to hit an idealistic outcome that you've been taught by a personal development guru. John is right. He has the absolute best intentions, and he teaches the subject in a way where he wants the most students to learn. And Alexander had to figure it out for himself. Alexander needed to fit it in his life in a way that worked for him. And in my way, I figured it out. I got to the end. And it's now working for me. And I'm saving money every month. And I'm increasing how much I save every quarter, just like I talked about at the beginning of this video. And so that's my story about saving money. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If you got some questions, if you got some comments, if you got a story to share, toss that shit in the comments, and I would love to chat with you about it. See you guys.